All right, so it's a nice late spring, early summer's eve, and this weekend over Memorial Day, I was out driving the Vespa, and one of the wheel bearings seized up on this rear wheel here. Crunches and groans, and I'm not sure what's going on with it. I put new wheel bearings in it a little while ago, but I can see, you can't probably see, the wheel bearing is pooched out between the drive axle there and the wheel bearing hub, and I didn't want to drive it to the shop, so we loaded it on the trailer, as you probably just saw, and dug the trailer and the little van out of being stored for a little bit because I've been having fun with the little cars. So they need to get cleaned up, so we're going to wash the trailer, wash the van, maybe buff it out, and do a little test run. The Vespa is rear engine, rear wheel drive, so the tail of the trailer is pretty heavy, which means that if I put my foot on it, like this, and press on it, you can see I can flex the van quite a bit. Don't like that, but we're not going far. But this new little hitch is working out really well. The trailer, I think, is stronger than the hitch, but it seems to work for short jaunts and emergency situations such as this. So we're going to clean up the van, clean up the trailer, and we buffed the Vespa this weekend, so it's looking good. Just wanted to show how utilitarian these little key vans are. This one's 850 cc's, which is a little bit bigger engine than the 600 cc more typical models. You need that extra, 200 cc's for pulling a trailer. A car and a trailer, I should say. So that's what's going on. Just wanted to let everybody know we got the Vespa all polished up for the show, but have a wheel bearing failure or partial failure, which we're going to fix tomorrow night, and then we're going to get the van all cleaned up and the trailer for the big show. It's coming up soon. Thanks for watching. All right, so we are looking at my 1959 Vespa hot rod. Is that what we're looking at? No, that's the dog. We're looking at my 1959 Vespa hot rod. It's Volkswagen powered, and I've been working on getting this car cleaned up for a big upcoming show. And I took it for a drive actually 2 weeks ago. I was making kind of a knocking noise, and the wheel on that was at the other side. I could move the tire in and out. I could hear it clunking, so I knew that it needed some wheel bearings. So I put new wheel bearings in it. It's not an easy job. You got to press out the stub shaft, and then drove around this weekend with my wife, and all of a sudden started making a clacking noise back here. Let's see if I can do it. It's like really hard to turn. It binds up and then it pops. I thought it was a drive axle, but it turns out it is. Of course, I won't do it now. Can you hear it kind of crunching? So I'm going to pull this apart and show you what's involved. It has a custom rear suspension. It's a little bit on the, shall we say, sketchy side with the shortened axles and everything. We'll take a look, and you can let me know what you think. All right, so the dog is laying in the sun, and we are working on the wheel bearing of our Vespa 400 microcar that's Volkswagen powered. You can see I got my drag radial laying aside there, and we'll take a look at what's going on here. So I got basically the drum assembly off. It's splined onto the shaft, which is Volkswagen. There's custom made bearing holders, and if you look really close, you can see part of the bearing is coming out right there. I don't think I have enough strength to turn it over. It's so bound up. But they're short little drive stub axles going to type 1. Trying to think if it's a swing axle. Yeah, it's swing axle transmission. So we have, of course, Volkswagen brakes, Volkswagen axles, custom made swing arm. I don't know about torsion bars, somewhat of a little cage system, auxiliary spring, and then air shocks. Sort of sketchy, but it does work. Not the best handling situation for competition, but this car scoots right along and seems to be okay. I want to put in or make adjustable control arms here to adjust the alignment. And then we have our Volkswagen engine hanging out back. All right, let's get to work. Okay, so it's a little while later. You can see I've got the bearing assembly on the floor, and there's definitely something wrong with it. I can barely turn this. That's locked up. I think the bearing here, there's 3 bearings. There's one here, one there, and one there. I think the outer one has failed. So we're going to take it over to the press it out, and see what it looks like. All right, so we took our bearing assembly over to the press, and we pressed it out. And you can see all the balls fell out. This bearing shattered. I must have over-torqued it when I pressed it together. There's one more piece of ball. No wonder. Spins nice and free now. So we got to fix that. The trouble is, it's the innermost bearing, so I've got to ruin this bearing and that bearing to get that bearing out. Bummer. All right, so we're a little further along, and we got our carnage on the floor. You can see the bearing I pulled out. Something shattered. Something actually caused that to fracture. That concerns me. I don't know what caused that. So I sacrificed all the bearings, getting them out. Put the shaft back in. I've got 2 new bearings on the inner with a little Loctiter on the outside. Make sure it doesn't spin. It's not loose, but I just want to make double sure. Put the shaft back in and see if we can get it back into the car. Start hot rodding around. All right, so the sun's going down. We're about 2 hours into our wheel bearing project here. We've got it all back together with our strong but sketchy rear suspension. I didn't design this car, somebody else did back in the 70s, I believe, and they did the best they could. So we are going to put our sticky drag radial on and see if we can do some wheelies. No, I'm just kidding. I actually got in here and I did a couple of alignment hacks. I put some shims there. This wheel seemed like it had positive camber and the other one had negative, so we're going to see how it all settles out. No pun intended. All right, so we got a little hot rod back down on its feet. Just drove it in and out of the shop a couple times just to make sure it rolls good. Push it here. No more binding, popping, backfiring. Look at that. Part of having a microcar, here, watch it roll out of the shop, is having lightweight. Lightweight equals efficiency. This engine is 40 horsepower, which isn't a lot. I can feel every one of those horsepowers. And if a bearing's binding up or a brake is dragging, you don't feel them so much. And I sense that. So now we're back in business. Hopefully we'll get more than 20 miles out of this set of bearings. I gotta assume that I just pressed it in the press too tight. I have a 20-ton press, and I must have pressed it too tight, created a hairline fracture on the inner bearing. At least I hope so. If not, then we're going to be right back in this position 20 miles from now, and that will make me happy. So, all right, thanks for watching. Next video will be me driving with a big smile. See this smile? Right there. Makes me happy.